Hey guys, hello and a very warm welcome back to my channel. So, in today's video we will be studying about India-China relationships. Okay, so we will be studying the bilateral relationships between India and China and what are the issues of concern, how the relationship has been. Okay, so there is a point to be noted that this relation between India and China is also known as Sino-Indian relationship. Let me change the pointer. Just give me a minute. Okay, so this relationship between India and China is known as Sino-Indian relationship. You need to know this. So if there is a point that you have to, where they have mentioned Sino-Indian, so you will get to know that yes, this is the thing, the China relationship that we are talking about. Okay, so just give me a minute. Just give me a minute, guys. Let me take another slide. Yes. So now let us study about the various issues related to India and China relation. So as you guys all know that this is one of the most troubled relationship ever. After independence, we didn't have that good relationship. Before independence, there was very good relationship between China and India, but after that, the relationship started to deteriorate, and we are not in a very good place when we talk in terms of relationship. Okay, we hardly know each other and we have very limited contacts. The people with people contacts are very less. We actually don't know each other's culture, the way of being, etc. So this is a problem. Also, there are very little PIOs and very little Chinese Indians. Okay, people of Indian origin, there are very less people going to India, doing stuff in India, working in India from China, and vice versa. Indian people do not go to China and do not work there. We don't even know, when we go and study foreign languages, so there are very less people who are going to opt for Chinese language, or there are very less Chinese people who are going to opt for Indian languages. So that is the thing. Okay, we don't know each other's culture and way of being, so our interpersonal relationships are minimal. Okay, and we have a very less people to people contact. Okay, so now let us study about what are the major irritants. Okay, so we are going to be studying about the major irritants. Irritants means how our relationships are sour between India and China currently. Okay, so irritants we are going to study, and mind my language because I'm writing from a mouse, so it would not appear that great, but please bear with it. So first of all, we will be studying about the irritants for India with respect to China. So we will be talking about the Indian perspective, what are Indian issues with China. Okay, so first of all, we'll be talking about the Indian perspective. So when we talk about the Indian perspective, so there are many of the issues like unresolved border disputes. So all along LAC, as you have seen in recently also in news, that unilaterally China changed the LAC, that is the line of actual control in the Ladakh region, on Aksai Chin. Okay, so they have changed the unilaterally the line of control Aksai Chin in the Aksai Chin region. Okay, then we are very aware about the nexus and the friendship between Pakistan and China that is growing day by day, and there is a very important concept of CPEC. Okay, so I would like to change my ink color here. So there is a very important concept about CPEC, that is China Pakistan Economic Corridor. Okay, so this is a project that is very irritating and very disputed, and India don't feel very comfortable about this project. Okay, so we will talk about it in detail. This is a project of a corridor which is going to connect China and Pakistan, and it is going to the all the area where it is going to be spread. That area is also near POK. Okay, which is near Indian border POK. So that is the major place of issue for us, that it is going to go from that region also. Okay, so that's a issue. We are going to talk about it in detail as well. Okay, so this is an issue. Then the next issue is that Chinese presence in Myanmar. Okay, so Myanmar is again in 1962 when the military coup happened in Myanmar. Okay, in 1962 when military coup happened in Myanmar. Okay, then our relation with um, Myanmar, it scaled down. Okay, because of the vacuum. Okay, after the military coup there was a vacuum in 1962, and after this military coup there was a vacuum, and this vacuum was occupied by China, and this has deteriorated our relationships with Myanmar. And you can also observe Chinese presence in Coco Islands. Okay, so that is also a major issue of concern. Coco Islands, okay, in Myanmar. Okay, so another issue is modernization of Chinese military. Okay, Chinese military is getting modified, and day by day it is in having a very good technologies there. So that is a issue, and that is actually, this could be directed against India. So this is an issue. And also hard power politics of China. Hard power and soft power, the difference between them is, in the hard power you are showing your physical powers like military. Okay, and in the soft power, that is basically concerned with your diplomatic politics. Okay, so we are talking here about the hard power politics. China is showing its muscle power, basically its militarian muscle power. So that is an issue of concern for India. Okay, then okay, there is a question that arises, that why United Nations doesn't take actions for China, against China. Okay, whatever the politics that China has been playing, we are going to study in detail also issue of South China Sea, that is that has deepened a lot, and many of the countries which are the neighboring countries of China are not very happy with China's stand on that, and we are going to talk about that also, and that is also a major issue. And UN should intervene if China is taking certain aggressive steps. So UN should intervene, but there is a problem, that why UN is not intervening and not taking action against China. Okay, so under UN there are 5 permanent members. Okay, there are 5 permanent members under UN. So who all are those members? So the 5 permanent members are including China. Okay, we have China, then USA is a permanent member. Okay, then we have Russia is a permanent member. Then we have France. Okay, we have France. So these are the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth is UK, United Kingdom. Okay, so we have these 5 countries under UN permanent membership. They are permanent in membership. Okay, so they have a power, they have a very powerful power, which is known as veto. VETO, veto. Okay, so this is a power which is vested only to the permanent members, and if there is any issue which is taken up by the UN, okay, and if they don't agree with that decision or action or anything, then they could veto that decision, i.e. they would say that no, we are not agreeing to that, and that particular action or that particular decision is not going to be implemented. So if there is any kind of issue, or if there is any kind of action that would be taken up against China, so of course China could veto that. Okay, they would say no, we don't agree to that, and we are not going we are saying no to that. So China could veto that power, veto that decision, and it is going to end there. So actually UN cannot do anything because of this veto power that is there with China. Okay, so now let us come to the other issues also, where India is facing irritant, seeing Chinese as irritants. So India in India we have a southeast South Asia policy. Okay, and we will talk about that also. So there is a very important concept, there is a very interesting and important concept which is related to the which is related to string of pearls. Okay, and this you might have also heard before, string of pearls. String of pearls. Okay, so when we talk about string of pearls, so it is a very interesting concept. So I would like to show you a map here. So string of pearls is basically a series of ports that are created by China around Indian Ocean. Okay, so these ports give a strategic, geographical strategic power to China, and this could lead to problems for India. Okay, so like if you guys can see here, these red colored, points. So these are the points where the China has created ports. Okay, and you can see that it surrounds Indian Ocean and India. Okay, so that's why this particular series of ports is termed as string of pearls. Okay, and string of pearls is it is a setting up of ports surrounding India and Indian Ocean, and this is done to have a better control in the future related to India and related to the navigation in Indian Ocean and other also the other countries. Okay, so there would be a um, advantage of control to them. Okay, so we will study more about in depth about the string of pearls. Okay, so this is also an issue. Okay, so now let us study about another important point that I would like to talk about. We have studied about string of pearls. Now let us study about another important topic, that is some secret dam projects. Okay, on Brahmaputra there are certain kinds of secret dam projects on which are being conducted by China on river Brahmaputra. Secret dam projects, okay, by China. Okay, so by China in Tibet, there are certain secret dams which are being created, and there is no agreement between India and China related to this, but still they are creating this dam. So in China they call the river Brahmaputra as the Sangpo river, Tsangpo, the Sangpo river. Okay, they call this river the Sangpo in China, and this is the river where they are creating the secret dam. So the Brahmaputra is originating from China. Okay, so there is no agreement between India and China related to construction of this dam, but still China is constructing this dam. So we have apprehensions related to that. Okay, and we are having the apprehension that the China is planning to basically divert the water of this river Brahmaputra to their region, that is Yunnan Plateau, which is a kind of a dry land. Okay, so we are having apprehensions that they could basically divert this to the region of Yunnan, Yunnan. Okay, Yunnan Plateau region in China, in Tibet. Okay, so this is a point. Then another point here is just wait a minute. Okay, so there is another issue that we need to study, and that is dumping of cheap Chinese goods in India. Okay, so we have seen this, the Chinese goods are very in the cheap price with the less quality, and they are basically dumping all these cheap goods in India. Okay, so we are upset about that also. Then the China's action on Ladakh region, LAC Ladakh. Okay, so in the Ladakh region, China's action. and in Doklam region also, in Doklam. So these are the two issues. So sorry for this. So we are also upset about China relating to this issue. Okay, then we are upset for China for not supporting Indian entry in NSG. Okay, this is a voluntary group that is made against India, okay, which we have talked about in earlier video also, where we talked about nuclear treaties. So there is this organization called NSG, which is a voluntary organization which is created for the countries who have not signed NPT. Basically, this is for that country. So we can say that it is for against India also, okay. And China said that it is not going to allow India, it does not support Indian entry into NSG. Okay, and in 2018, not sorry, in 2008, India was given exemption to India was given to NSG, and Obama suggested that India's membership should be there in NSG, but still China said no, and we are still not a member of NSG. Okay, then Masood Azhar. Okay, so there is a issue where we wanted to just we wanted to declare Masood Azhar, Masood Azhar as a international terrorist, but China posed this also. So these are the various irritants. Okay, so you can see that what kind of we are facing lots and lots of issues of China, and there are many irritants which are there between China and India, and that's a major issue. We are having lots and lots of opposing views. So now let us study what is China feeling. Why is China feeling? What are China's irritations towards India? Okay, now let us study that. So first of all, a very important issue is presence of Dalai Lama, who is a spiritual leader. I think many of you also know him, Dalai Lama. Okay, LAMA है, ठीक है. So he is a spiritual leader, okay, of Tibetans. He is a spiritual leader of Tibetans. Sorry for this mouse. I will try to get that stylus. In 1959, there was a revolt against China in Tibet. Okay, so this is a time of a bit of historical perspective. In 1959, there was a revolt by the Tibetans onto China. Okay, where they saw that they were losing. Okay, when there was a war between China and Tibet, so they saw that they are losing. Okay, so what they did is that they escaped from China and from Tibet, and they took asylum in India. India gave them asylum. Okay, they took their asylum in India. Now Dalai Lama established his government in exile, okay, which is known as Kashang. His government in exile is known as Kashang. I'm writing here Kashang, Kashang. Okay, so this is his government in exile, which he created in where? In Dharamshala in India. Okay, in Dharamshala in India. So China is very upset about it. Also, China was upset about Indo-US nuclear deal. Okay, China is upset about Indo-US nuclear deal, which we talked about in the preliminary sessions. Also said that there is a nuclear deal between India and US, and which is which shows the nexus of India with US, and China is against it. Also there is India's LEP, Look East policy, and now it has been renamed as Act East policy, AEP, Act East policy, which we have studied in previous lectures also. So to them, basically this policy could be very helpful for countering China, which China doesn't like. Then we have certain strategic partnerships with China's opponent countries. Okay, so we have many kind of strategic partnership, including the countries like Japan, Vietnam. Okay, so we have strategic partnerships with them, and we provide military to Vietnam also. We provided it. Okay, so these are certain issues. Then um, we have other issues also, like our another issue is India's and policy in South China Sea, which I talked about earlier also. So we do not support China's stand in South China Sea, and we will talk about South China Sea also in detail. I think this is the right time. Let us talk about South China Sea. I think before that I should complete the relations of China with India, and then we'll talk about the South China Sea. So there are many issues relating to South China Sea where India does not support Chinese stand on South China Sea. Okay, so India India have its support to Vietnam. Okay, and we have our support to Philippines. Philippines. Okay, then we have our support to Malaysia. Malaysia. And what is India's stand is that China should basically implement the verdict from UNCLOS, United Nations Convention for Law of Seas. Okay, and this is a particular organization that works with the issues related to water bodies. Okay, if there are boundary issues, exclusive economic zone issues, etc. So this is a particular organization where we could solve these disputes, but the verdict that is going to come from here is non-binding. That means it is on to the countries to implement it or not. Talo, non-binding. Okay, so it is up to the countries that if they wanted to implement this or not. So we are saying that all China and other countries should implement this particular verdict, which is there by UNCLOS, but China is not agreeing to that. We are going to discuss more about this issue, okay, soon. And next is that India joining Quad. Okay, so Quad, I think we have talked about it, and if not, so I'm just going to give you a brief description about Quad. So this is the organization between four countries, okay, which has been basically made against China. All these countries are very much irritated from the aggressive stand, and they are concerned about it. So this is an organization which is created by the four countries like India. I'm not going to write the full names, okay. Australia, India, Australia, Japan, and USA. So these are the four countries that together form this Quad. Okay, and this is basically against the concerning issues related to China, and China is not happy with this. Okay, so India is also being a part of this Quad. So this is something which is China not happy with. Okay, then we have our border disputes. Of course, you all know about this, happened recently. LAC, border disputes between India and China. Okay, so China in Aksai-Chin area, it basically unilaterally changed the line of control. The western sector, to be more precise, they have changed the LAC on the western sector of LAC. They have changed it unilaterally. They have taken around thousands of square feet of area, square kilometers of area. They have taken thousands of square kilometers area, and also this was in the western sector in Aksai-Chin. Okay, but on the eastern sector also, eastern sector, near eastern sector, which is near Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, which is near Arunachal Pradesh in India. They are claiming basically entire Arunachal Pradesh. They are saying that Arunachal Pradesh comes under China. So of course India is very disappointed with that, and there is on around Andhra Pradesh, sorry, Arunachal Pradesh, there is a line of actual control that is known as McMohan. I think I should remove this first. Yeah, so that is known as basically McMohan line. Sorry, McMohan, MOHAN, McMohan line. Okay, and this was demarcated after 1914. Okay, and after the agreement, that is the Shimla agreement we are going to talk about in India Pakistan issues, also about Shimla agreement. So in Shimla agreement, there was this agreement which is related to the LAC in the eastern region, that is of the Arunachal Pradesh, AP. Okay, so but China now claims whole Arunachal Pradesh as southern Tibet, so which is of course something very wrong. And in Sikkim, Sikkim joining Indian Union was also an issue for China, that why Sikkim joined Indian Union. So that was an old issue of China. Okay, so the union of Sikkim into India has not been officially recognized by China. Okay, so this is also an issue. Now let us study about South China Sea issue, that what is the issue there, and then we are going to study about the history between India and China relationship. Just give me a minute. Okay, so now let us talk about the issue of South China this is Sea, South China Sea issue. Okay, so now let us talk about it. So in front of you guys can see a map where here China it is here. Okay, then we have here Vietnam, we have here Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, Taiwan. Okay, and Hong Kong and all are here. Okay, and this particular whole sea that you can see in blue color is your South China Sea. Name has also been indicated here. Let me use another colored pen because already we have this color. Okay, I think yellow would be visible. Yeah, so this is the South China. No. Just so I will use a highlighter here so you guys can see here South China Sea. Okay, so this is the whole area of South China Sea. Okay, now the issue is that there is a dispute between China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Philippines here, okay, and Brunei, Malaysia, okay, and all of these states which are all of these countries which I have highlighted in yellow color, they all are having dispute, and the dispute is between the part of South China Sea. Okay, the claim made by China was that entire South China Sea is Chinese. Why? On the basis of the fact that its name is South China Sea. So, you know, they said that on the historic grounds, it is China's part, South China Sea, and it is it's named itself on China, so it is South China Sea, and they claim around more than 85%, of South China Sea under China. So this is their claim. Okay, so South China Sea passes through 5 trillion trade. Okay, so there is a total of 5 trillion trade that is carried out through South China Sea. Okay, and resourcefully also this is very important sea. There are lots and lots of rich resources. So China earmarked their claim as the part of South China Sea. So They have marked their own line of it. Around 85% of it is claimed by China. Okay, and but the surrounding countries which are marked, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, Taiwan, they all claim that, all of the countries, they have to have their own, own areas of EEZ, exclusive economic zone, and whole of the sea cannot be claimed by only China. Okay, so this is the, and they went, all of these countries, they went to UNCLOS again. Let us talk about that also. UNCLOS, which we have already talked about. So all of them went to UNCLOS, United Nation Convention of Law of Seas, and they said that up to 12 kilometers from the coastline of the territorial waters, and up to 200 kilometers from the coastline is exclusive economic zone. Okay, so like if this is Chinese territory, okay, let us say this all around is Chinese territory. So no, sorry, till here. Okay, so China is going to claim, like, this is the territory of China. Okay, and then 200 nautical miles from the coastline. So 200 nautical miles from here, 200 nm nautical miles from China is going to be exclusive economic zone. So the condition here is that up to 200 nautical miles from the coastline, 200 nautical miles, which I've written here also, 200 nautical miles from the coastline is what is China's exclusive economic zone, and similar applies to all the other countries. Like if the Brunei is there, okay, so 200 nautical miles from Brunei is going to be its exclusive economic zone, from where they could do navigation, extract resources, etc. So that is going to be the part of this territory. So UNCLOS has said that all of these countries should apply that law and then form the exclusive economic zones. Okay, but China denied that verdict. Of course, it is non-binding, so China said that they're not going to accept it. They refused it. Okay, and China wanted to have its control over all of the area. Okay, and China wanted to claim this whole of this South China Sea, and in response to having it, what China is doing, that it is preparing certain artificial islands and ports in the South China Sea. And then what would happen if China would construct these artificial ports. So they would say that we have these ports are ours. In between, if they are going to construct, like say if they are going to construct somewhere here or around here, okay, so they're going to say that area 200 nautical miles around it is again going to be China's exclusive economic zone. And in this way, they wanted to occupy this whole South China Sea by constructing the artificial islands. But the thing is that in UNCLOS, it is already said that artificial islands would not be counted unless and until this particular law applies to the places where their people are living. Okay, and there is some population there. And China is also developing some Fiery Cross, Subi Reef, Mischief Islands, etc. These are the kinds of islands that China is developing. So and they're also constructing certain missile bases and launch pads. Okay, so that's the issue. Also, they are developing the defense facilities in deep Paracel Islands. Okay, so if you guys can see here, let me remove this ink. Yeah, so here you guys can see this Paracel Islands. Okay, so these are the Paracel Islands, and these are the artificial islands that are created by China. Okay, and the thing is that they are developing military base around on these islands, and this is all illegal. Not legal. Basically, there is no law, but still, like all of the other countries are equally, they have their equal shares in this South China Sea, and still China is doing all of these things and taking the aggressive stance. So this is the dispute about South China Sea that happened. Okay, so if we are going to discuss in detail this, so there is another council that is known as P PCA. Okay, so there is another council that is known as PCA, that is called Permanent Court of Arbitration. Okay, which is placed, which is there in Hague, HAGUE, Hague in Netherlands. Okay, so this matter of this particular matter of South China Sea was taken to this Permanent Court of Arbitration. Okay, Philippines took this matter and China agreed to talk and adjust. Okay, but when the PCA verdict came, so it was a big blow to China. Of course, it was not on the side of China. Okay, and the PCA verdict said that you should actually apply the law of UNCLOS. So it was a big blow to China, and China was asked to implement that law and create their own zones. Okay, PCA rejected those historic claims that were made by China, ठीक है, which said that this name of the South China Sea, that's why it is ours. Okay, on the basis of names. If you are going to have this logic in the world, so this complete Indian Ocean would be for of India's. Okay, if that logic is applied, so that logic is completely baseless. So that was of course rejected on PCA, that is Permanent Court of Arbitration. Okay, and even if China occupies any island, the tribunal, okay, all the islands are there, like, okay, like I will tell you these. I think you guys can see this Spratly Islands and Paracel Islands. Okay, so these are the kind of the islands which are constructed by China into South China Sea in order to gain its territory, in order to gain the territory of South China Sea. Okay, so in PCA it was also said that if all of these islands, they were studied by a tribunal which was sent. Okay, the hydrographic data of all of these islands were studied. Okay, and the condition that was that was established was that these islands should be permanently above the high tide mark to have exclusive economic zone. So if you are going to consider these islands and consider on the consideration of these islands, if you are going to establish the exclusive economic zone, then there is a criteria that all of these islands should be above the high tide mark. Okay, this means whenever there is a condition of high tide, so these islands should not submerge into the water. Okay, then only you can have EEZ, that is exclusive economic zone. Okay, and also second condition, there were two conditions. Okay, first one was this condition of high tide mark, and the second one was that all of these islands should be able to hold population, okay, in its natural conditions. Okay, this island should be able to sustain a stable community of people in the natural conditions. Okay, so both of these conditions were not met, of course, and these Spratly Islands which are here, if you guys can see, so the Spratly Islands, there were certain small fishermen that used to come and fish and they go, okay, in 1 2 3 days, but it is not able to maintain any kind of stable population. Okay, so there was no permanent stable stay of people there, so none of them or none of these islands were able to can create EEZ. Okay, PCA also asked China to create the not to create the artificial islands and defense system, as it will damage the environment. Of course, if you are creating lots and lots of defense mechanisms, so it is going to damage the environment. There is lots and lots of biodiversity in this South China Sea, and you should take care of aquatic life form also, and it could negatively affect them. Okay, so China rejected all of these verdicts. Okay, but the other countries completely welcomed it. The countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines and Taiwan, they completely welcomed it, but China rejected it. Okay, now let us study about the India's interest in the position of South China Sea. Okay, let us see what is India's stand and how the South China Sea is important for India. So I'm just going to take a blank slide here. So first of all, let us study about the India's interest. Okay, so around 55% of India's trade with Asia Pacific passes through South China Sea. Okay, so this is a major trade route for India. Around 55% of trade passes from this region. Okay, then through our perspective of Act East policy also, this Act East policy also, this is a highly important place. Okay, then of course, if we, if we need to secure resources, so we want to protect, if whenever we want to have any, if we want to have any kind of ocean based, yeah, water bodies based resources, so we should protect that part. Okay, so what, the Vietnam is lying there na, we have seen here Vietnam is here. Okay, so it is very near to South China Sea, so this is the Vietnam. Okay, so Vietnam offered India 7 oil blocks. 7 oil blocks was offered by Vietnam to India. Okay, so these were offered. This is a major source of it, of a resource. Okay, so India claims onto 7 oil blocks in South China Sea. I have written this wrong. South China Sea. Okay, so this is the thing. Also, we want a RCEP membership. RCEP membership. Okay, which is in a great interest, which is going to, and the South China Sea is going to highly help us in getting our RCEP objectives fulfilled. And of course, there is a hidden interest that we want to checkmate China in the South China Sea. If we are going to have a more sense of control over South China Sea, onto the areas of the South China Sea, so it could help us in checkmating China. So these are India's interest. Now let us see the India's stand. Let me remove this. Oh, great. Okay, now let us look at what is India's stand. Okay, our stand. India support the concept of freedom of navigation over light and unimpeded commerce. Okay, based on the principle of international law and especially UNCLOS. Okay, so basically we are saying that we agree with the verdict sent by UNCLOS on this case, and we support their verdict, and we support the countries who support the UNCLOS verdict. Okay, so India opposes the Chinese claim on South China Sea. Okay, and we want China to accept UNCLOS in letter and spirit, and we want the disputes to be resolved through the peaceful means. Okay, so that is what our stand is, what India's stand is. Okay, now let us come to the another topic, that was history. Okay, I think this one was clear to you. Now let us remove this, and now let us come to the history part of India-China relationship, the history between India and China relationship. Okay, so now let us talk about the history part. This is going to be a bit longer, and I think the video is going to increase, have a longer duration also, but I think it would be helpful for you guys, so you can just make your notes, create your notes at the same time. So now let us study about the history of relationship of India and China. Okay, how our relationship were in the past, and what is their status right now. Okay, so if we talk about the history, so now let us first start up with 1949. Okay, with 1949. So in 1949, Communist Party of China revolution took place. Communist Party of China, CPC, it took over China, and their revolution took place, which is also known as Maoist. MAO. Mao was a great leader. You could have, I think you should have listened to his name also in the past, in the news, and recently also in Olympics. Okay, so Maoist revolution was the revolution that was held by CPC in China. Okay, after this Maoist revolution, Maoist CPC took over China, and whom he has succeeded over, they succeeded over, their party succeeded over another party, that was KMT, not T, KMT. Okay, which was Kuomintang. Let me write it. The spellings I have to write. I actually have to write everything because They have a very different kind of spelling. So if I'm just verbally speaking, you're not going to be able to gather that. Okay, cow, min, and please mind my writing. I've already told you that I'm writing using a mouse. Okay, so cow, min, tang, government was thrown away by CPC, Communist Party of China. Okay, and KMT, they took asylum in India. Okay, sorry, not in India, in Tibet. They took asylum in Tibet. Tibet. Okay, so they ran and took asylum in Tibet. The Communist Party in China came to power and declared China as People Republic of China. Okay, they have declared China as People Republic of China, PRC, and their capital is Beijing. They made their capital as Beijing. Okay, now this party, that was KMT, okay, they went to Tibet, they took asylum in Tibet, and then they went to Taiwan. TAI, you would have listened to this name as well. Taiwan. There were certain issues regarding China and Taiwan also recently in 2020. So Taiwan, they went to Taiwan, and they declared, this KMT declared themselves as the Republic of China from in Taiwan from Taipei. Taipei is their capital. Tai, Taipei, Taipei or Taipei, whatever you want to say. Taipei, Taipei. Okay, so we have the two parties here: Communist Party of China in Beijing and KMT in Taiwan. Okay, now this was all about 1949. Now let us move to 1950. Okay, now we have come to the 1950. I don't know. Okay, so in 1950, CPC fully integrated Tibet in China. So earlier Tibet was not a part of China, but in 1915, the Communist Party of China fully integrated Tibet into China. Okay, how? How this all happened? So in 1910, what was the history with China, with Tibet and all? So in 1910, King dynasty in Beijing collapsed. Okay, so there was a King dynasty in Beijing that collapsed. Tibet, Mongolia, Uyghur declared independence. Okay, so earlier China was like a whole. Okay, China एक पूरा, I'm not drawing it. I think I should not do it. Okay, तो क्या था कि जो चाइना था, that is Tibet was involved in there. ठीक है, then Uyghur, Mongolia was there, and Uyghur, Uyghur, Uyghur. Okay, so these Tibet, Mongolia, and Uyghur were there, but when the King dynasty collapsed, all of these became independent. Okay, they declared their independence. But in 1950, when again we talked about that just right now, in 1950 they were again integrated by CPC in China. Okay, then in 1954, Panchsheel Agreement. Panchsheel. When we have talked about Gujarat Doctrine, at that point of time I also gave you a hint about Panchsheel. So we are going to talk about this agreement also. So Panchsheel Agreement was signed in 1954 when between our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, okay, and CPC. Okay, so this Panchsheel Agreement was signed. Now this Panchsheel Agreement was of great importance. I have already talked in detail about Panchsheel. If you have not watched that video, I'm going to just link it in the description below. Just watch that video where we have given all in-depth analysis about Panchsheel. So you have to just watch it. Okay, so it is basically a water sharing agreement. Okay, water sharing and you know, all the other things for maintaining peace across border, okay, and cooperation, peaceful cooperation with each other. This was all in spirit of Panchsheel, okay. So this was the thing, and okay. So Panchsheel was signed. Then Mao Tsang Dung became the chairman. Okay, chairman Mao, but executive power was premier. Was the premier. Okay, I'll just write it. Okay, you will get confused like this way. I don't want eraser. Yeah. Okay, so देखो जो Mao था, the Mao, MAO, Mao was basically the chairman of CPC, chairman. Okay, but the basic, the executive powers were with his premier. Executive power were with his premier, who was called as Chow En Lai. Chou Nen Lai, Lei, Li या Lai, जो भी आपको बोलना है, Chow En Li. Okay, so this happened. Okay, then coming to 19, we have signed Panjil, then Chow and Lai, and now let us come to 1955. In 1955, Bandung Conference took place. Bandung Conference took place. Okay, so in Bandung Conference, we were bargaining from China because US was not giving recognition to Chinese Communist Party, which is Mao's party. Okay, they are not giving recognition to them. US considers earlier party, that was KMT, as the Chinese power, but not CPC. So Jawaharlal Nehru advocated their position in China, and they bargained for China basically. So we had good relations, if you guys can see from this point. So we have good relations with China at this point of time. Okay. Then coming to the next year, that is 1956, when 1956, when China gave full autonomy to Tibet. China gave autonomy to Tibet. Okay. So there are 5 autonomous regions in China. Okay, there are 5 autonomous regions in China, with all of the people who are not of their main ethnic group of China, they were given their own autonomy. Okay, so the major ethnic group in China is known as Han, Han. Okay, and all the non-Han people, where they are in majority, they were declared as the autonomous region. Okay, so there are 5 different autonomous region in China. First one being Xinjiang. Okay, Xing Xinjiang, Xinjiang. Second is Tibet. Tibet. ठीक है. Third is Guang, Guang, Guangxi, Zi, Guangxi. Fourth is Ni, Nei, Ni Mongol, Mongol, Ni Mongol, okay, which is the inner side of Mongolia. Then fifth one being Ning. You have to learn them basically. Just try to learn them. Ning Zia. I have even myself not learned them yet, but I would learn it. Okay, so these are the 5 autonomous regions of China. Okay, then now let us come to the next part, that is the year of 1956. Okay, year of 1956, we realized that China was constructed a road in Aksai Chin. Wait. Yeah. So we realized that China was creating a road in Aksai Chin. Okay, and why China was interested in Aksai Chin? That is a question that many of you would encounter. So here, there are mountain ranges in alignment in such a way that it's easy to pass on from there. Okay, so the mountain ranges in Aksai Chin are easier to pass. Okay, so between Xinjiang and Tibet. Okay, they are between Xinjiang and Tibet. Okay, the movements in between the Aksai Chin range is very easy. Okay, so they are very interested in there. Okay, so that was the thing. Now let us come to the next year, that is 1959. Okay, this is the year when Dalai Lama escaped Tibet and entered India. Dalai Lama, okay, he escaped China, entered Tibet, sorry, entered India. Okay, then this was a part of Tibetan revolution that was happening there. Tibetan revolution. Okay, and Dalai Lama, there was a fight and Tibetans were losing, so they escaped. Okay, then coming to 1961. This is a timeline. You guys can create a proper full-fledged colorful timeline where you can prepare all of these incidents. Okay, what happened when. Okay, then in 1961, India was India was at a pressure to enforce a boundary line. Okay, so there was a policy that was called as forward policy. Okay, so this is a policy by India, forward policy by India, and we started moving towards our boundary claim. Okay, which is a completely disarmed movement. It was nobody was carrying any kind of arms, but we started to move towards our boundary, and China was also doing the same, and there were discussions going on related to our permanent boundaries. Okay, then in 1962, suddenly China attacked. So we were under Panchsheel, okay, where I have talked about the peaceful cooperation with each other, okay, disarmament and all. But China broke that Panchsheel and attacked India. China attacked India. Okay, China attacked India. And it was a completely non-anticipated move in 1962. Okay, it was a completely non-anticipated move, and it became a full-fledged war. Okay, and Mao, there was an intention of Mao to divert all of the attention to from internal matters towards the external matters. So it was a strategy by Mao. I have discussed, again I'm telling you to watch my video of Panchsheel. Okay, I have discussed it there as well. Okay, what was the history. Okay, so that was the thing. Also, China also crossed the McMahon line. McMahon line, MAC, McMahon. मैकडी वाला मैक लिखने की आदत पड़ गई है. McMahon line. Okay, so China was also crossing the McMahon line. Okay, and they actually started occupying Arunachal Pradesh. So what did we do? Okay, so this war was not anticipated. India was not prepared. So India was losing here. Of course, we were not at all prepared, and we didn't anticipate it. We thought that we are under Panchsheel, so China is not going to take any kind of move like this. But China broke that promise, and China tagged us. Okay, so this particular matter, this issue was sent to UN. Okay, and from UN only US responded, only America responded, and sent their seventh fleet. Okay, they sent their seventh fleet to this region of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, then in 1962 itself, China claimed China claimed the ceasefire. China claimed the ceasefire. Ceasefire. Okay, so ceasefire was claimed by China unilaterally, and they unilaterally withdrew back. Okay, after this pressure was also coming from USA, as they have sent their 7th fleet. So they went back, and they stationed at McMahon Line. Okay, so they stationed at McMahon Line. So this was the thing in 1962. Now coming to 1963. 1963. In 1963, Pakistan and China, I'm just cutting, Pakistan and China, they both signed an agreement, okay, of POK. They signed an agreement in POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, okay, and Pakistan ceded some territory to China, okay. So Pakistan ceded some territory of POK to China. They ceded it to China. Then coming to 1963, okay, we did 19, sorry. Coming to 1975, coming to 1975, okay, we once again established our diplomatic relations of India and China. Then in 1978, Foreign Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee visited China to improve our relations. So our relationship was on the upswing. Then in 1988, during Rajiv Gandhi's time, head of government Rajiv Gandhi had a landmark visit to the capital of China, Beijing. He had a landmark visit to Beijing. Okay, leader was Deng Xiaoping at that time. Leader was D-E-N-G, Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping was the leader at that time. Okay, and this helped us restoring faith. Then from, okay, so there was a time period, like you can say, from 1987 till year 2020, there was no bloodshed. Okay, but in year 2020, bloodshed happened in LAC. We know soldiers were killed on both the sides. Bloodshed happened in Galwan Valley. Soldiers were killed. Okay, so this is what happened. Okay, so so this was all about history of relationship between China and India. We'll be talking about our bilateral trade with China. We have done South China Sea, okay, and then we will have we will have a talk on string of pearls also, because that is also very important policy. We will have a detailed discussion. Then we have a very important topic of BRI, that is known as Belt and Road Initiative, which we are also going to take up in the next class. Very important. Okay, and I think this is all we are going to study. We'll have certain final analysis of relationship between India and China. We are going to complete this topic between India and China relationship. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you understood well. If you did, please share it with your friends who need it. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Please hit that bell icon for the latest updates. Now I'll try to make more regular videos. In the past, for some time I was not able to create the videos due to some emergency problems, so now I'll be trying to create all of the videos to be highly regular, and we are going to complete our bilateral issue very soon. Okay, so that's the thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just go like right now, subscribe right now, hit that, smash that button, and let us, please help us. Your support is what we need. So thank you so much guys, and have a very nice day. Bye.